When you're going to buy food, ordinarily I would, assume that you want to give somebody a promise. If you give me this amount of food, I will give back this amount of something else to represent value. Back in the day, that used to be barter trade. That if you wanted to buy chicken from a marketplace or you wanted to buy goats, then you needed to come with something of equivalent value. So that would be probably a bag of rice or perhaps a bag of potatoes or something else that this other person would find valuable enough to exchange. So in the history of exchange, it's that as long as you live somewhere and you are interacting with other people, you will need to exchange some goods or services. Now, in terms of cultures, back in the day, you could exchange or give your word to somebody and they would take your word as your bond. Your promise was a form of currency. But as time evolved, then most people wouldn't keep their promises. However, in place of that, we needed something to represent an obligation or a form of um, requirement that if you say you are going to transfer this thing or exchange this other thing, then the other person will receive the value for what they want. Now, to break that down or to bring that into perspective, if I wanted to get a certain number of goats and I didn't want to get bags of rice or potatoes, then that meant that people wanted to have another form of currency that they could deem their value is being recognized. So that went from exchanging goats for, let's say, potatoes, to exchanging goats for shells, to exchanging goats for notes, to exchanging goats for currencies. And in today's world, that means exchanging goats for a certain number of digits in an account that represent money. So money is a technology that we use to store, send, and receive value. And that just means that if I want a certain number of goats, for example, if I'm a farmer or I'm in business or I just want to resell them, then if I use goats as the example in this case, it's that I want, I want to receive this amount of money and I know it's going to hold value, so that if I want to exchange my goats for something else and get this money and buy, for example, a piece of land, then I'll know I need X number of goats to get Y amount of land. So the concept of exchange has been there for the longest time, as long as societies have existed. What has changed is probably the form of money. And in today's money, we have currencies, we have the dollar, the yen, different depending on different countries. Then we have digital money, that is what we see in our either bank accounts or different kinds of digital wallets. And then we have hard cash, and that is still acceptable in so many cultures. So keep in mind, we have digital currencies, we have cash, and we have assets. So as far as assets go, then recognize that there are different forms of money. So money at the heart of it is a tool that we use to send, store, and receive value. The point of value is that it depends on our cultures, and we are all exchanging different things at different times.